Welcome back. Now, the needs of children in Arizona are only growing, with 19,000 children in our state living under foster care. There's an urgent need to find families who are willing to nurture a child with stability and love.
David Quist and Greg Wilson are here to tell us what you, along with the Arizona's Children Association, can do about that. Gentlemen, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Talking about this. Let's kind of start out with that number. It's right off the bat, it's boom. That number hits you pretty hard, 19,000 statewide. I want to kind of juxtapose that with how many foster homes do we have in Arizona up against the fact that we have these 19,000 children?
So statewide, there are about 4,400 licensed foster homes.
So we can see the need just by the statistics.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right, and so obviously it takes a stable family to take in a foster child. What are some other requirements that they should really meet before they do this?
Well, the biggest ones, there's a background check and a home inspection, and then there's 30 hours of classroom instruction that they need to go through.
Okay, very important.
And when we're talking about foster, I want everyone to kind of understand what that means. We hear of adoption, we hear of, and sometimes this lingo maybe gets a little lost with somebody that's not, you know, advanced in knowing all of this. When we say foster care or foster home, what does that really mean? What does that mean to the family and to the child?
Well, it could be someone that's related to the child, which we refer to as kinship. So it could be like a grandmother, grandfather, aunt, and uncle, that sort of thing. Or it's just folks who feel a need to provide a home for a child that doesn't have one. Greg actually and his wife were licensed at one point and have adopted a girl. So.
Right. Well, you know, when I was in high school, I remember having friends who were in the foster program, and it was so important to them to have a family that was stable, and it really made a difference in terms of their, you know, their attitude and their outlook on life, really. So that's why this program is so important. So, Greg, what other services do you provide in this organization?
Sure. They're numerous, and in fact, as David had mentioned, my wife Tracy and I, we actually started out as foster parents, and we ended up adopting our little daughter Charlie. It's been an amazing experience, and clearly that's sort of the ultimate sacrifice, and it requires a lot of training and so forth. But there are things as simple as attending the events that we have. We've had events where we've had storyteller events with people kids that are in the system. We've had Dancing with the Stars for Arizona Children Association. There's just a number of events that we have where just attending the events, being a part of the events is really important. There are a number of ways where you can support some of the behavioral health and some of the care workers within the system. You know, it goes on and on and on. But I would submit that one of the things that I wanted to be able to say in your program is that it's really important that we supplement sort of the public funding with people, everyday people getting involved financially. You know, there is no one within the organization that's making a ton of money. By the way, even there are, you know, ways to get involved as a board member. I'm a volunteer board member. And so, you know, this is certainly not my full-time job, although I feel so strongly about it. But, you know, you can take the $27, you know, number that you're hearing all the time, and that could be, you know, a significant help with really private funding from the citizens. I mean, it's so important that people really invest in our own community. And I think that we need to get organizations involved, corporations, as well as individual people, realizing that this is probably the most significant investment that you're going to make in the Arizona community. I mean, it affects the children, the families, which ultimately affects the entire community. So that's why I'm so passionate about what we do at the Arizona Children Association.
Well, one of my favorite expressions of all time is that it takes a village to raise a child, and that's really, if you boil it down, that's what you guys do. You really bring everyone together, and you value every kid and every life experience. So, guys, thank you so much for coming on.
And if I could piggyback just real quickly off of what Greg was saying,
Sure.
We do also provide in-home services, therapy services, visit supervision, parenting education. We have an independent living program, and we also work with the CARE, which is the Kinship and Adoption Resource and Education Center.
So much for people. David and Greg, thank you so much for
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now, to learn more about foster parent orientations, you can call 622-7611 or log on to arizonaschildren.org.